He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora whānau, just a heads up before we get into it. This episode of Orators Anonymous contains mature themes and some spicy language, so listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Orators Anonymous, a new Māori Pacifica queer-coded podcast brought to you by Whike Fortress Gallery, streamed weekly on Twitch channel Rev TV, hosted by Coco, Manu and Mush. The theme this week, Existential Pick and Mix, a random assortment of hyperfixations and theories from the Orators Anonymous girls. Greetings, Anō. Greetings again, listeners, streamers, viewers, and whānau out there. Welcome to the 5th episode of your new favourite podcast, Orators Anonymous, beaming to you from Whike Fortress in Onehunga and coming to you live from Revolution TV. Homai te paki paki. Welcome. I'm one of your 3 hosts tonight, Coco, and I'm joined, as always, by these 2 beauties, Mush and Manu. I believe Mush has your announcements.
Yes.
Your little marae housekeeping.
It's a little housekeeping. All right. So the views and opinions expressed during this live stream are the views of Orators Anonymous alone and do not represent any affiliated organization. Content and critique is presented for entertainment and informational purposes only.
Period.
Also, to our own communities, we do not claim to be cultural authorities. The information shared is for storytelling and educational purposes only. Interpretations are offered in good faith and should not be taken as definitive or authoritative. Thank you.
For those who are just joining us for the first time, Orators Anonymous is a podcast for our Māori Pacifica queer fam in Aotearoa, indigenous misfits and insufferable bookworms across the Pacific and around the world. So tonight's theme of sorts, loose term, is existential pick and mix. What's been on your podcasting mind, Manu? Do you want to talk about news cycles and kind of big tacky kind of subjects? How are you feeling?
I mean, what I had really wanted to speak about was kind of a hyperfixation that I've always had. And it was like narcissism, which is like a second century offshoot of Christianity.
And we got a trailer last week.
Yes, we got a little trailer.
Yeah, you did.
Got a little drop down menu.
I saw the chat. Whoever commented, go off for narcissism, Sophia, blah, blah, blah. I love you.
Demiurge, period.
Yeah.
Demiurge, period. Like, and I think, one, it's fitting given everything that we've been experiencing, but also, you know, in the chat of astrology, I always find it really, really interesting because in Gnosticism, the celestial planets are all greater demons named aeons, and you're supposed to transcend these demons to escape the material world.
Yes.
It's such a kata. There's so many things to deep dive on, and
how does Gnosticism, like, because it kind of comes up as a casual blasé thing. Not many girls talk about Gnosticism as casually as Manu does. How, like, why does it always kind of like stay in your heart as like this thing that kind of is always reoccurring?
Yeah.
I think because it's this thing of like, one, I really love the idea of the basis of humanity and our creation is like this emanation of the eternal Sophia puts in all of us the divine spark. Yes. And so we all carry around this piece of divine energy, which is actually inherent in every single major religion in the world.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm hyperfixated on Gnosticism. It's not exclusive to Gnosticism, but that's one big thing that I'm super drawn to with it. And also there's a lot of Gnostic texts. There's like the Gospel of Thomas, the Apocryphon, so many books. But what I love is there's this Gospel of Mary that's low-key, really modern. It's going socialist down. It's going feminist down.
Yeah.
It's giving like, oh yeah, by the way, I was Jesus's beloved and I was the last person he spoke to before he ascended, and he just wanted me to tell you that all of you are fake bitches. None of you knew.
And he told me you're still not that girl.
Still not that girl.
Still not that girl, and that all of the women who cried for him as he walked up to get crucified are the only people who are going to see him and know him truly, because you men are too stuck in your ego. And then when I read that, I was like, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the way that some of those like ancient texts can really make you feel like, oh, there's girls like us across all space and
all
time.
space and time, absolutely.
And I think that's worth remembering, like,
Yes.
because, yeah, I mean, if we are going to jump into kind of like tacky clickbait news, like the passing of Charlie Kirk and kind of the revealing of like people's alignments across our many communities. It's
that's why I feel like Hikoi is always so clarifying, because
Clarifying.
it's like, this is who I grieve for.
Yes.
This is where my alignment and my choices and my energy go. This is like how we band together, you know, because that other energy is so siphoning.
That's so siphoning. And evil. And I think maybe my other hyperfixation with Christianity is that it's like the final book, the Book of Revelations, and how so many ideas in and around what the Antichrist is and everything, how it's playing out in real time, and like realizing, oh shit, we're kind of locked in society with a bunch of death cultists.
Absolutely.
Death cultists who are trying to manufacture apocalyptic vision,
which they are actually having a heavy hand in, and are creating. And
I'm just like, I'm sorry, you trying to build the third temple, like what? Like, that makes zero fucking sense.
You see all of the interconnectedness of, you know, those bozos at the Hikoi and these people in the news cycle, just all of these kinds of figures and figments and the messaging, like it all seems so tacky, but it's just very like, I've seen Star Wars, babe. I don't need to like have a like cheap primary school play version of it.
Very that. We were also cracking up laughing, being like, you know, someone should just open up their Grindr and just watch just like the notifications pop off, because you know that the first 10 profiles on that grid are blank profiles and they're like DL for DLs only, which is so freaking interesting to me, because you literally are in the faith where you are worshipping a man, and then you get upset at the fact that then you want to worship a man in bed. It's just so the internalized homophobia. Get out.
I mean, I hate to be problematic, but y'all want to be the girl.
All of y'all want to be the boy.
Who's gonna be the boy?
We're the boy.
I'm gonna be the boy.
Yeah.
Literally. But yeah, it's that thing of like, oh fuck, we're like living in a world where like what was so heartening about the protests is that actually we are surrounded by a bunch of people who believe that the earth can be healed and that we can land back and that we can come back to a place of like reciprocity with this planet that we're torturing.
I mean, it's not easy.
Not easy.
And what we do is we stay at the coalface of what we think is possible. We always kind of, you talk about inside the white imagination, we stay outside of that, and we stay true to what we deem to be our imagination.
Exactly.
And that war, that huge war of imaginations is like, it's reaching its peak. And it's feeling really, I hate this bitch, but I was obsessed with her for years. It's giving very Dolores Cannon of Two Earths.
Yes, I love Dolores Cannon. Remember that time where we hadn't seen each other for ages and I was like binging the audiobook and you were binging the books, and it's like, I've got someone to tell you about Dolores Cannon.
And it's
like just talking about, sci-fi does amazing literature on life after death. Lots of studies, does a lot of psychological studies on working with people on their past lives and just working with the unseen. And it's like, I don't know, for a Balangi lady, you know, she kind of indigenous eats in terms of some of her framing. It's like, no one ever really dies, period.
And no one ever really dies. And I think I was reading this one thing as it pertains to like Christianity and whatnot, and they were talking about kind of the first sacrifices of Abraham and Isaac, so on and so forth. And they were talking about how in the modern context, the blood sacrifice never disappeared. And they were like,
wow.
All these big wars and stuff going on, blood sacrifices.
Blood sacrifices.
And they were pretty much reframing Christianity. And like the whole point of their talk was that God, Allah, exists today as a war god rather than a sky daddy god. And that actually the version of God that is worshipped today is more closer to the original Canaanite version of the god, which was a war thunder god, than any type of benevolent kind of father figure.
Which really tracks with their doctrine, because they need the men to stay violent so that the men can then fight the wars. The greatest weapon against them is empathy and understanding.
And also because what the god wants is blood. Because it's a war god.
Needs blood.
And just needs
First
to be
blood
fed.
sacrifice was never really... I think of like colonization like that it's always kind of relegated the status of being this isolated event. And it's just like, you know, colonization, when that happened, you know, contained experience, D full stop, past tense. And I even think of it in terms of the narratives that happen within land and space here. Even the whenua that you think is kind of not known, you know, empty, that has a full rich narrative. That is whenua. That has a whole kind of history that you have to keep into account.
That's it.
And I think of it like we just wallpaper over wallpaper over wallpaper, and we never really all of these things, they are just there energetically as well.
I was reading this thesis about Two-Spirit, and the author had just really frames the entire thesis really beautifully and just starts off with colonization and says, I'm not going to center this. I'm just going to talk about how this is a literal blip in our timeline. But we existed before, we will exist after, we will exist forever. But let's just place that where it is. It's actually on the low priority list. Big impact, but in terms of the story of everything and forever, very small.
Not the main character.
It's not the main character.
Yeah, high impacts, but not that girl.
Not that girl.
And it's unsustainable. It's so unsustainable. What colonialism as a project has happened since what century? The 18th century, and the world is already sick of it. It can't sustain itself. Because it's predicated on blood and violence. And how long can you keep feeding the lamb blood before it coughs it back up at you?
Exactly.
Weird.
I got that's definitely the image I got with the eclipse we just had on the Sunday, like when our poor Marama, when she had to experience the earth shadow, and it's just that that image of just blood, and
that's it.
So what have you been kind of thinking about in terms of the podcast when we were given the talk what you want to talk about?
Talk what you want to talk about. I had a few ideas. I was like, we could talk about alchemy. We could talk about magic. And then I was like, we could talk about Luna and the Luniverse. They've been a hyperfixation of mine for so long. In terms of like how we narrate our lives and how we imagine ourselves and we imagine the external world. The Luniverse is very much, I've like knuckled myself right there with the lore.
So for the people at home,
yes,
would you like to break down the Luniverse?
Absolutely. So the Luniverse is pretty much a universe, a fictional universe that was created to narrate the story of a K-pop girl group who's no longer together, but they're called Luna.
Shout out to Luna.
Shout out to Luna.
Stan Luna.
Stan Luna, always.
Stan Luna forever.
Now all of the girls have like gone into all of their like subunits, but the story keeps going on. What I am fascinated about is the way in which storytelling can come through music and music videos, and how you can literally take an audience, and there's the beautiful relationship between the makers and the fandom, and you're all experiencing this narrative unfold. And so as opposed to kind of like standing a group who are just kind of drop after drop in terms of a song after song, you're actually following this unfolding story. And so it follows these, the story of the Lunaverse is pretty much this interdimensional portal opening kind of time travel, which for me, I am obsessed with, because in the context of this lack of imagination that we're living in, portals is really necessary in terms of opening up these pockets.
Portals are so necessary
for us to exercise our imaginations and for us to put a different lens on things. And so that's what I really appreciate about the Lunaverse, is that it opens up these pockets.
And so Luna, Loona, by the way, broke off into little subunits.
Yes.
And one of the little subunits is my favorite K-pop group.
Yes.
Odd Eye Circle.
And we went and watched them live.
We saw them live. And it was very much like lots of kind of like small, delicate kind of teenagers, sheepishly, like kind of screaming.
Yeah.
And a bunch of us at the back being like,
we were the K-pop photos there. We really were.
Do you remember that edit of Odd Eye Circle song where it's like Professor Talks, that girl, and she's like, some of you bitches about to be mad at me. Some of you bitches are ugly.
Stunning lyrics.
Look, it's fab. If you guys were, it was a meme at the time.
They've been my most listened to band like 3 years in a row. There's just like, they only got like a few records, but they hit.
They hit. One of the parts of the law which I really relate to, and then even in terms of my own academic research, is that one of their songs, Virtual Angels, which pretty much talks about how all of us will exist digitally forever one day. Period! And so, in the sense, literally. And so, in a sense, our descendants will literally have these virtual angels. Like, they will actually have, we will exist in gigabytes and megabytes within the algorithm.
Remember,
oh my God, your tupuna will be pixelated.
The digital world is just as real and just as tangible as our current physical reality, our mental reality, our spiritual reality.
Yeah.
Right? And that binary that people have as almost like a psychological coping mechanism, like they haven't consolidated that yet, where they'll be like, oh yeah, but that's like the online realm. I'm like, that has very real. Impacts on your lived reality.
We spoke about this.
Yes.
A long time ago, during our Debunked season 2 podcast era, we had spoke about this idea of the West refusing to mythologize the state of our world, the phenomena of our modern world, to avoid accountability.
Wow. Yes.
And kind of the fact that phenomena like money, phenomena like our economy, phenomena like, white supremacy as a whole hasn't been formally mythologized. And so they've had to seek like patron vessels, much like how when African religions fought to kind of survive after the transatlantic slave trade, they turned to Catholic saints, and they had syncretized them with Western African spiritual figures. And so that's how things like Santeria and Palo Mayombe and all of these things came up in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And because the West has really failed to do that, we see kind of figures like white nationalist American Jesus that veers so far off from what exists in text.
Yes.
because something needs to hold those societal ideals.
Absolutely.
Like the societal ideals that they have for genocide and conquest, and because they don't have a god assigned to it. You know, if we are Grecians, we could say, Ares. Ares is the one who's designated conquest and blood and murder and all these things. If we are Hawaiian, we could be like, Ku. Ku's our war god, and he's the one who does it. But they haven't done that. They don't have that. Like, and so, and whenever I'm seeing this distortion going on, I'm just like, fuck. Like, you guys, again, their lack of imagination have failed to ground them in our current reality. And so they've had to distort these spiritual practices in such a way to kind of hold and kind of patronize ideals in their society that they're too embarrassed to give a proper name to. Into white baby Jesus flying an F1 jet. Like,
Girl, you're on fire.
You're on fire eating.
Girl, let me eat a fucking milkshake.
You're on fire. You see how she just connects the dots?
Let me
eat a milkshake and shut the fuck up.
Mushy.
Yes.
How have you been thinking and feeling in terms of, I guess, what we were just talking about?
I think that I am gagged at the fact that the understanding of the Christian God being a war god. That really gagged me. And it really makes sense in terms of how, I guess, in Samoan mythology, if we look at our pantheon, we have over 120 different gods.
Period.
Now, when I found out this fact, I was literally gagged because at that time I could only name 2. And I was like...
And the Pokemon collector in you went, now we're cooking.
Quite literally. And that is what started my hyperfixation on the Samoan pantheon. I was like, there are 120 gods!
And I can name them all.
And I'm like, and so like, I just went boom into my research. I have collected, I have reunited with around 70 of those gods.
Period.
And so I've kind of just been working on this kind of almost like I call it like a database of deities.
Yes.
And where I'm just kind of like, okay, so there's this text mentioned this god, they are the god of war. Okay, cool. This god is another god of war. Okay, cool. This god, is the god of the moon, or this god is the god of butterflies. Taun Manu Pepe, so fab, is described as being called his butterfly ship.
Period.
So cute. And then like we'll attack people with like a horde of butterflies.
Take that,
butterflies. And then even on that, the second layer of that is in my research, because a lot of the accounts are either from missionaries or from English writers. I'm then having to read accounts from those in the diaspora or Samoan writers where they are in retrospect being like, okay, so they got this part wrong. They got this part right. Because what we don't want is another Margaret Mead situation. No, we don't want none of that. And so that has been like a big hyperfixation of mine for the last few years.
Database of deities.
A database of deities,
Have you got like a kind of a fave or like top 3?
Fave? Oh my gosh. Yes, I think one of my faves is Ave Iletala. We have chatted about this. Ave Iletala is the god of midwifery. And Ave Iletala literally means to take to the back of the house or the whale. What I love about Ave Iletala is the common knowledge is that Nafanua, love Nafanua, she prophesied that there was going to be this new god who was going to come in, and then we were to revere this new god. Ave Iletala's prophecy differs slightly, in which he says that there will be an alien god. An alien god who will try and eat, an alien god who will arrive and who will eat all of the other gods, but he will not eat me. Period. And so Ave Iletala says that God will not eat me, and then says, but all I ask, and then this one I'm like, he's like, all I ask is that at least 2 or more of you believe in me.
All I need is 1 or 2 disciples.
And I just can't help but just get the image of us just holding our tupuna just holding them hand in hand. And that's the image I get when we are at the hikoi.
Yes.
As we are literally on the hikoi holding hands with our tupuna. I'm holding hands with your tupuna. I'm holding hands with your tupuna.
Period.
And we are doing what we've
And
always
we've got
done.
the odd bit of overlap, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yes, all they
heavy.
require is to be believed in order to manifest their true kind of, poetic power.
Exactly. And I think in terms of kind of going back to narrative and imagination, my imagination, Ava Ilitala talks about this alien god eating the gods, because I believe that eventually those gods will come back.
Yeah, girl.
Those gods
Zeus
will come
carved his
back.
way out of Cronus' gut.
Absolutely. They're going to come out and they're going to come back.
Way up, and oh wait, no, Zeus wasn't Eden. Sorry.
Oh, fab.
Girl, period.
Love.
Okay, Miss Thing.
Yes. So tell us. Hyperfixations.
Well, I have been so kind of activated at the moment in terms of, being in bombastic service. Like, I've got a lot of stuff, tabs open. I'm in the world at the moment, so I haven't been able to get in my happy place of squirrel mode. So when I was thinking about this, I was like, well, what do I have to share? But then I thought, well, I should probably just share my week. And it kind of kicked off with a bang at the Nui Te Kōrero Hui in Tauranga. So it's a biannual kind of summit thing, like with the arts. And this year it was curated by Ria Hall, musician Batty, mayor candidate for Tauranga. Yo really fumbled with that one. But
Big time.
So I did a big kōrero about Wheke Fortress, because I had a lot of people being like, we want to know what yous are doing in there in quite a formal way. And I talked about how I had, a bunch of us, there's so many people that are part of this huge, what would you even call it? Yeah, wheke, machine, thing, magic. And people, I dodged that question for close to 4 years, and so started sharing our collective experience, and it was really special. I just want to shout out to these two and Remy and our girls who drove down to support me. It was a very big experience, and it was so big that the next day I had to swim in the moana. I just felt really buzzy. And went to Mount Maunganui and jumped in the water in front of the surf club so that I was safe.
Period.
The water on that side is...
I wasn't. I don't want to risk nothing.
Yeah, no.
So kind of got that stuff cracking, and then I spied with my little eye the saltwater hot pools 1 block over. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do a real wide-oar rinse. Yeah. And I went into the hot pools and I soaked there for, about 45 minutes. It was at the foot of Mount Maunganui. Yes, I got it pretty clutch down there. There was some real jewels, that we were admiring with the whenua, and I met some of the mana whenua down there who were onboarding us to the rohe and the story. And it was really cool. I felt what was special about the experience at the hot pools was this really cool older lady was in the pool, and it was just kind of me and her. And I've got this wheke tattoo on my shoulder based on an old Tahitian map, which links all of the motu together in a big cosmic meridian, which plays a part in the name of the space and also our philosophies. But she was just like, you know how you can just tell someone's cool? And she was older, and she was just like, I like your tattoo. And I was like, oh, thanks. And she was like, bet you there's a big story behind it. And I was like, yeah, there's a big story behind it. And she was like, I'm Pākehā, so I don't want to get into any of that stuff because, we got a bit of a mana shortage. And I was like, oh, kia ora whaia, okay, cool. And then we got talking, and she had worked in prisons pretty much her whole life.
Wow.
And she said, one of the things that makes me really angry is when people judge other people. It's like you really do not know who anyone is, what they've gone through, what it's all about. Like, don't do that ever. And we just kind of like bonded. And then she was talking about, my life is very young, you know, like I hate like hanging out with 75-year-olds, please, absolutely
Period.
not. And I was like, yeah, I'm the ran through kind of crone in my crew too, you know, you got to kind of keep it mixy. But I just liked being at the foot of the maunga with her, talking about taking people not at face value, but just not really relegating them to assuming you know anything about them.
Yes.
And it was kind of on this day that I was like washing off all of this kind of wairua, and it was really beautiful. Yeah.
Period.
Beautiful.
That was kind of my experience down there. So I want to shout out to everyone in Tauranga who was really nice to us in general. But I guess sharing all of those philosophies, it did really remind me that oratory stuff, this is all a kata, but that stuff can be really athletic, man.
Oh,
and the way you all had to put me in the car, you know, when you're at like the Whiawhia night or something, it's like, oh, we got to go get grandma from inside, she's talking to everybody, you know. And the way they all wrapped around me like a korowai and like pushed me out to the car.
Let's go now.
They're like, let's go. Like, she's about to go non-verbal. She's kind of like getting really autistic, you know, and my eyes are kind of like, I think I just want to be honest with the fact that that's how I experience, like, when I share at that level. And we'll put it in the chat, and I'll talk about it on my newsletter this week a bit more for those who are wondering. But how did you guys find the whole conference? I mean, yous watched and yous were there.
I was sitting there just bawling my eyes out. I was sitting there just bawling my eyes out because I've had the honor and just of being part of Whike for the last few years, but to hear it in retrospect and to hear your reflections from you, like that was really beautiful to witness. And as you were sharing, I just saw the narrative of Whike just unfold and seeing people coming in, people coming out. I saw all of the events that we had, all of the activations. I saw when I first arrived and I was in the little corner with my Mushashaba Magics making herbal mixes for people, and just like
So cute.
the entire the memories, just the entire timeline. And especially in here where like I literally feel like I've traversed a millennia with you all already. Like that's the feeling that I get. And so I was very moved.
Yeah, they all jumped up
So
on stage
moved.
with me and had a mihi at the end. I forced them.
Very beautiful.
Manu dodged that, but yeah.
I did. No, I was there as tank artillery.
Very that.
The car that I was scooped into.
The thing, but my thing is like, I thought that you were so incredibly generous.
Yes.
You were being so generous.
Do it once, do it well.
Do it once.
Then go back
do
to
it
being
well.
stingy.
Because I think, there's so many people who are kind of wanting to, and I'm not trying to toot anybody's horn in here, but wanting to kind of replicate, not necessarily the kind of intrinsic alchemical magic of the place, but the kind of base blueprint of what's happening.
Yeah, so you can't say I didn't share it, whānau. I do want more spaces to pop up, and I want people to have, integrate the philosophies that work for you. I want everybody to be served.
Yeah.
I think all of these spaces in kaupapa, they're not for everyone, but a niche is a niche.
Yeah.
And, you've got one too, and you can really eat and serve whoever it is you're supposed to serve, right?
That's it.
Yeah, just take what resonates. And well, I think that concludes our 5th episode of Orators Anonymous. Thanks for joining us on this wild, miscellaneous ride. Ka kite.
Orators Anonymous was made with Pūtau Tautoko from Creative New Zealand, New Zealand On Air, and the RNZ Arts and Culture Podcast Co-Fund. The creative director is Coco Solid, the producer is Esther Lelua, the assistant producer is Mary Adios-san, the producer/Twitch producer is Remy Shivinke, the hosts are Fuima Ono Tuema Fuiva Falese Taua Mush Lesefo, Manu Vaya, and Coco Solid. Sound design, composition and editing, Tokero Teokotai Brown. Ngā mihi to strategic advisors Rosabelle Tan and Yanathan Nahu-Owen, and the RNZ podcast teams Justin Gregory. Follow and listen to Orators Anonymous wherever you get your podcasts.